Hi there, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Welcome to my hosted webcast for SpaceX's SES-11 / EchoStar 105 launch. Now, this is a launch out of Kennedy Space Center's LC-39A, or Historic Launch Complex 39A, and this is a single satellite that weighs 5,200 kilograms, and SpaceX is launching it up into a geostationary transfer orbit, which is one of those highly elliptical orbits that they'll just put it into a parking orbit, and then the satellite itself, over the next several weeks, will actually expand its perigee, its lowest point, and bring it up into a stationary orbit, a geostationary orbit. And now here's what's going to happen. This is the second time this actual first stage has flown, which is awesome. It first flew in February on CRS-10, and CRS-10 was also the first time that SpaceX had used Launch Complex 39A. So this core is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. They have refurbished it, and it's ready to fly again. I'm really excited. This is the 43rd launch of the Falcon 9 rocket. This is the third time they'll be reusing a core. The first time was SES-10 back in March. And this is the 15th launch of the Falcon 9 this year. That's insane. Last year they did 9. They're hoping to do 20. I think they're on track for that. So yes, I'm very, very, very excited. This is going to be a great one. And of course, they will be landing this on, of course, I Still Love You, their autonomous spaceport drone ship, which is stationed about 600 or 700 kilometers, or 400 miles east-ish from Kennedy Space Center. And the reason they have to do this kind of landing on the drone ship, for those of you curious, I do have a video all about that on YouTube called Why SpaceX Lands on a Drone Ship Sometimes and Land on Others. Check that out next time you're bored. It goes pretty into depth. But the biggest reason is this is a geostationary transfer orbit. That means the first stage has to put a lot more horizontal velocity before it goes into stage separation. So before it burns out, it's a lot further down range. It's going a lot faster than a mission that's just going to low Earth orbit. So therefore, the stage actually coasts and then follows its ballistic trajectory, and it only does 2 burns. It doesn't do 3 burns like a normal time that when they land back on land. It only does 2 burns, and even not even back on land, but even the other day at Vandenberg, they still had 3 burns. They still had a boost back burn because it was a low Earth orbit mission. It had enough margins to slow itself down a little bit. And then this mission, though, it'll coast. It'll go up into its at its highest point. At its apogee, the first stage will fall, and it'll do only a re-entry burn as it kind of hits the atmosphere. It'll do that to slow itself down so the atmosphere doesn't rip the vehicle apart. They will also do the single-engine landing burn a couple seconds later or a minute later or so. So this is very much downrange. So yeah, how is everybody doing? We are T-minus about 24 minutes ish, I think, right? Yeah, something like that for the start of their window. And we have people talking in the chat that yes, this is most likely. I haven't seen pictures, and I don't know if anyone has any updates, but it should be. They should be using titanium grid fins on this one because it is a geostationary transfer orbit. It is this high energy orbit or high energy first stage profile. It means there's a lot more heating of the entire vehicle. We've actually seen the old aluminum grid fins catch on fire and start to disintegrate. So that's one of the big reasons they're going to these titanium grid fins. They aren't always using the titanium grid fins, but on missions like this, they will be. So yes, hopefully we'll find out how they're doing. JC asks how I'm doing. I'm doing fantastic. Honestly, I've had a really productive week, a lot of fun things going on. I'm really excited for this. It seems like just the day before yesterday we had a launch. It was just the day before yesterday, and we did have a launch, and now I'm excited that we have another one. I love that it's happening so quickly. Yes, this is exciting stuff. And again, to reiterate, this is a flight-proven booster. This booster, the first stage of this vehicle. And here we go. We have the SpaceX Webcast live. SpaceX radio is now on. I'm going to give you a little bit of that. So this is the third time they are reusing the first stage of a Falcon 9 rocket. It's very exciting. This is the future of everything. So Gamer Xbot, thank you. Hi, how are you? Evening for you, late afternoon, early evening for me. Will I be flying in the New Shepard? I would sure love to, honestly. Yeah, I would love to do that. Nico in my Discord channel asks if they replace the old grid fins on this booster. Yes, the grid fins are interchanged. I mean, those are easy to bolt on and off. We even see as they we see them actually remove grid fins as they prepare to ship it around. So grid fins are an easy thing for them to do. So thank you for noticing my new chalkboard that I just got in today. I bought a chalkboard and I sat there this afternoon drawing on it. I wanted it to be cool for backgrounds. I drew a Merlin engine that you probably can't see very well. I drew my dumb face right here and my stupid logo up here. Actually, I think it's a really cool logo. I didn't do it, so I can say that. And then, yeah, I added some other fun stuff. You'll see it in some future YouTube videos, so, yeah. You restream me on Rocket Watch. That's fantastic. Thank you for doing so. What's been going on for the past 60 hours? I've been scripting for a new video that I'm working on, which is talking about using BFR, the big Falcon rocket, as a point-to-point Earth transportation system. Some of us in the Discord channel have been actually working on scripting that out, and I'm really excited about that. I hope that it ends up being a good one. We're going to title it Elon Musk Takes on the Airline Industry for some clickbaity title, but we're getting into some deep math with this. We're comparing a lot of things, like how far away does the launch pad have to be from populated areas to not have it exceed the decibels of an airport. We have some of that. We're talking about re-entry heating on a BFR if it's suborbital compared to, say, the entry of a space shuttle. So it's a clickbaity title, but that's, unfortunately, guys, that's the way the internet works. But it's going to be packed with some decent math, so and some good stuff. So why do some lands Falcon 9s not land when they can bring that booster back, even from a GTO flight? So let me talk about that real quick. Weight is the primary reason. For every pound you add, or every kilogram, or however you want to say it, every bit of mass you add into that thing, it requires more delta V out of both stages, the first and the second stage. And so there just simply ends up not being enough margins to recover some of the stages. And they maybe, on some of these, that they still do expendable launches. You know, there's a chance that they might be able to recover it with just the littlest bit, but there's also a good chance they'll just shoot a big giant hole through their drone ship. And at this point, SpaceX has, what is it, 13? How many? They've landed 18 vehicles. This will be their 18th landed vehicle, and they've done 14 in a. This will be 14 in a row. They have plenty of cores lying around. The Falcon 9 in its current iteration is not really meant for full reuse. So at some point, honestly, they kind of have to be doing expendable missions, and especially when they're on those fine margins where there just is not enough room for them to be able to have any chance of a decent recovery. They need to just expend the vehicle. So, yeah, there we go. You have visited Falcon 9 at Hawthorne. It is massive. Yes. If you get a chance ever to visit Hawthorne, California, especially if you're ever flying into LAX, even if this is a pro tip. Say you have like a long layover. Say you're going to be doing an international flight or something, and you're flying through LAX. If you have more than about 4 hours, you can pretty easily make it down to SpaceX. It's really close to LAX. Even in bad traffic, it might only take 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops. But it's really only like 5 or 6 miles away or something relatively close to LAX. Unlike other things in California, don't try and do that with like Hollywood. Don't try and do that with anything else in the LA area. But the one thing you probably could do and get away with would be squeezing a quick little visit to go say hi to the Orbcomm booster that is outside of SpaceX's headquarters. It's worth saying hi to, so definitely do that. Somebody asks where my Saturn V Lego set is. It's over there until I work on it, which I'll do at some point. I'm waiting for a few things. There we go. Lisa says you can get on the Green Line Metro. It's only a few stops. Lisa's mini stows. She knows what's up. She has done that many times. She is a veteran member of the show Tomorrow, TMRO. If you guys don't watch, and if you're not subscribed to Tomorrow on YouTube or anywhere else that they stream, which is literally everywhere, you need to do that. Tomorrow is the best live show, specifically talking just once a week on Saturday about space. They do live streams. They actually live stream them recording. Then they do a little edit down and they post those shows later to YouTube. But they have awesome guests on. They've had Tori Bruno from ULA. I mean, they just have tons of rock stars on there. They are amazing. The amount of work that goes into it is insane. Huge shout out to TMRO. Our friend Lisa in the chat, she will actually be doing a new Tomorrow Science show, I believe, starting next year, which is going to be, so they have Tomorrow Space, they're working on Tomorrow Cities, and they will also have Tomorrow Science, which is very exciting. These shows are very well produced. It's all just nonprofit passion project supported by Patreon members. It's amazing. So yes, if you're not watching TMRO, do it right now. Subscribe. I'll take a break. I'll sit and watch while you navigate over onto TMRO on YouTube. Do it, please. I swear to God, it's worth it. Those people are amazing. They're some really good friends of mine. So good. Saying hi from Germany in the middle of the night. Awesome. That's fantastic. I'm glad that some of you over in Europe are up and still able to watch this. So let's see. Link, please. I'll link. It's probably going to be http youtube.com TMRO. There we go. You have not missed anything yet. Just so you know, SpaceX will be launching in about 20 minutes or so, or 18 or 17 or something X number of minutes. And that means that their webcast should pop on here relatively soon, in the next like 5 to 10 minutes. We should see. So right now, obviously, as you see on my screen here, boop, right there, we just have the SpaceX radio going on, and that will eventually pop over to their live stream. And when that happens, I'll kind of shut up for a minute and let them do some talking, and we'll all listen in as well. And we'll see if we get any new information, make sure everything's on time. They do have a 2-hour launch window, but basically right now, the way the Falcon 9 operates with these, they use super chilled propellants. It does mean that they actually have I don't know if they have time to reset refueling. It takes a full 50 minutes or an hour. And even though they have a 2-hour launch window, I don't know if they have time to detank and reset in that 2-hour launch window. I would love to know if anybody in the chat room has an update on that. I would really like to know. So I believe that even though it's a 2-hour launch window, if they don't make that opening opportunity, since they have to launch basically as soon as the Falcon 9 is fully fueled, I don't know if they have enough time to reset during that 2-hour launch window. But let me know if they do. So every day at least one launch. Somebody asks me in the chat, this is Lanchlin. Hello. I hope I pronounced that even somewhat close. They asked me if I think SpaceX can meet their BFR timeline. I don't know. I honestly, that's a really good question. I want to think that they actually could probably think about what SpaceX has done in the past. Space Mike on tomorrow's show, we had a little roundtable discussion about this, and Space Mike reminded us that just 5 years ago is the first time they docked at the International Space Station. It was only like their third launch of the Falcon 9. They were a baby company. They had the chances of them landing the first stage of a booster was hilarious. Now they're doing it constantly, reliably, and it's just no big deal at all anymore. So that being said, remember having that humbling moment of, holy cow, look at what they've done in 5 years. I do think there's a good chance we'll actually see BFR start some hardware rolling around in 5 years. I think that's very realistic, actually. And maybe we'll have seen it fly in 5 years. And if that's the case, there's a pretty decent chance that they will be ambitious enough to try and send that thing off to Mars in 5 to 7 years. It's very, very, very ambitious, since there's so insanely many, so many new components. It's carbon fiber fuselage using cryogenics, which is normally two things that don't get along very well. It's a methane Raptor engine, which a methane engine has never flown on an orbital rocket. So we're going to see. Here we go, just in time. We're going to pop this over to here so you guys can see this a little bit better. Yeah, this always gets me like super stoked. BFR technically means the F word, big rocket, kind of like big BFG, big effing gun from Quake. Yeah, but they say they say big Falcon rocket, and that's what Gwyneth said even the other day to the Vice President. Okay, listen.
It is October 11th, 2017, 3:39
yes.
p.m. Pacific time. You are currently looking at a live view of a recovered Falcon 9 rocket on the SpaceX launch pad as it awaits its second launch since landing back in February of this year. Welcome to today's webcast of the SpaceX EchoStar 105 SES-11 mission from Launch Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. My name is Tom Perderio and I'm a firmware engineer here at SpaceX. The first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket you see today on the pad was previously flown as the first stage of the CRS-10 mission, which was a mission to resupply the International Space Station earlier this year. Today we will deliver the EchoStar 105 SES-11 payload to satellite to a geostationary transfer orbit target, which is what you'll hear us call GTO throughout this webcast. Today's launch will be our fourth launch for SES. The first was SES-8 back in December of 2013, and the most recent was SES-10 in March of last year. This is also our second launch for EchoStar, the first one being EchoStar 23 in March of this year. And with previous GTO flights, geosynchronous transfer orbit, we will be attempting to recover the first stage of our rocket on the drone ship Of Course I Still Love You, which is currently stationed off the coast of Florida in the Atlantic Ocean.
Cool. Who's got questions? This is the third time they have reused a core. This is only the second flight of this core. And the Block 3/Block 4 iterations of these vehicles, I'm looking for it to see if they're titanium grid fins. I believe they will be, but they don't look very dark. They most certainly will be titanium. But we'll see for sure. The Block 3/Block 4 iteration of this vehicle is not really meant to be reflown over and over. They're just talking about 39A now in the live stream. Oh, sorry.
And Falcon Heavy, which of course has 3 first stage boosters instead of just 1. The vehicle you're looking at today was rolled out of the hangar and raised to vertical on the launch pad about 24 hours ago. As you can see on your stage, it's currently still mated to the transporter erector, which carries it out of the hangar. You can see the rocket has 2 stages. The first stage is about 70% of the height, and the second stage is the remaining 30%. These are both made of an aluminum structure connected by a composite interstage. On the very top is the fairing, which is made out of a composite material as well, carrying the EchoStar 105 SES-11 payload.
All right. Well, I'm pretty shocked that they're using aluminum grid fins and not titanium when it's a geostationary transfer orbit like this.
Our East Coast drone ship. This will be our 18th landing, with the most recent landing attempt occurring just a few days ago on Monday, which was the Iridium 3 launch.
Okay, we've got some good questions. Somebody asked, why does this tower not retract like it does out in Vandenberg? This is the new version of the strongback. This strongback retracts very quickly, right at T-0 to 45 degrees. That's so there's a lot of umbilicals and hoses and connectors that are on the top of that the transport erector and the strongback. And basically, they want it to get as far away as possible. At the last second. They want it to be up there up until launch so that it can hold on to the rocket, but then right at launch they let it just fall back. Kind of like Soyuz does that and other vehicles do that as well. But Vandenberg has the old style, which SLC 3040 used to have. And at 3 minutes they would tilt it back to about 77 degrees and then it just holds there. That means there's a lot more chance for the plume of the rocket to destroy that strongback. It required a lot more refurbishment. This new one apparently is a lot better.
Flights. The current generation of Falcon 9 has its go, no-go poll at about T-2 hours. And as you can see, that go, no-go poll went well, and we are currently in the process of loading fuel. Loading fuel on the second stage is nearly complete, and we're topping off on the first stage. LOX loading is in progress. We've done the initial load, and we're currently in a planned pause phase while we load helium to the final flight mass. Once we confirm we have enough helium, we'll resume LOX loading at about T-2 minutes.
4 or 5 man high.
Currently, the EchoStar and SES team has reported that their satellite is in great condition and ready for launch. The range is also reporting ready to support the launch today. The area was cleared. The entire area around Pad 39A was cleared for flight this morning and last night. At SpaceX, we monitor several weather conditions, one of which being low altitude winds, another being upper altitude winds, and also rules like anvil cloud rules and lightning conditions. As you can see on your screen, it is a beautiful cloud-free day at Cape Canaveral. Couldn't be more perfect weather for a launch. So with all stations currently indicating go, let's take a closer look at the countdown clock and watch the rocket as it approaches liftoff.
Okay, so it sounds like they're kind of done talking for a second. First off, thank you so much, L4R5 man. The waves aren't as big of an issue as you'd think, to be honest. The barge has some stationary thrusters that can hold its position, at least on its coordinates, maybe X and Y, but it doesn't help so much with the up and down. That being said, the up and down portion, the vehicle has, the Falcon 9 has big landing legs that have some shock absorption to it. So even if there's a big difference between their velocities, they hopefully can absorb some of that difference. And also, even though it looks big to us and we'd probably get sick, the center of gravity on this thing is so low, the legs are so wide, that it takes quite a bit to throw it off. And then now they do have that new robot, the Octograbber.
5 SES-11 satellite. As we're waiting for the countdown to get a little bit closer, let's take a look at exactly what this payload is.
Okay, they're going to show us a little video here about this satellite, so I say we listen in quick. And also, happy birthday, Marcus. Everyone say hi to Marcus and happy birthday. Pretty cool. You get a pretty special candle for your birthday. This is a reused rocket. Seems like this is just kind of some cool music to get us pumped up about SES. The Octograbber is a robot that is like some people called it a Roomba, but it's a robot that goes underneath the vehicle and then has hydraulic launch clamps to grab onto it and make sure it basically to hold it down and keeps it from sliding around. It used to be people had to get onto the drone ship with this giant, 15-story building basically that's rocking around out at the ocean. Very dangerous. And now they developed a robot that's very low and it drives underneath the rocket and it grabs onto the octaweb, the portion of the vehicle that holds all the engines together. It has these hydraulic clamps, grabs onto it, and then it secures it and it helps add weight and make sure that the vehicle doesn't fly off the pad. And it's a lot safer thing. It's very cool. Pretty stoked about it. So this payload is just a telecommunications or a communications satellite for SES and EchoStar. They're sharing. It's just one satellite, weighs 5,200 kilograms, and they share. One of them is on like the KU band, and one of them's on like the B band or something. They're on slightly different bands. I don't quite know how that stuff works, but that's what that satellite's used for, is enterprise broadcast and government services. I'm just reading it right there. That's honestly, I'm not very good at knowing about these darn satellite things. Yes, these exactly. Two companies are sharing a satellite bus. That's correct. Oh, awesome. Happy birthday to Carter. This morning or whenever you end up watching this, Carter, happy birthday. The robot is on the barge. It actually has a little garage on the side of the drone ship. It parks inside this garage that has a blast shield. As soon as the vehicle lands, they open up the doors and they drive it out. They've only used it once so far.
Reduce the cost of access to space. A fully and rapidly reusable rocket, which has never been done before, is the key to establishing not just outposts, but also self-sustaining cities on other planets. Now, the cost of fuel for each flight of the Falcon 9 is only about $200,000 to $300,000, which is only about 0.4% of the cost of the rocket. The majority of the launch cost comes from building the rocket, which, if it only flies once, makes for a very inexpensive ride. However, recovering and reusing the rocket multiple times, the way a commercial airliner is reused over and over again, significantly reduces the cost of an individual flight, since the capital expenditure to build the vehicle can be spread out over many flights. Being able to reduce the cost of the rocket and reuse it has the potential and is the key to establishing a city on Mars. We need to get the cost of a launch down to a level where a critical mass of people can actually afford to go.
Okay, I want to answer the question that we hear often. Why is the rocket smoking? I want to answer this every flight because it's one of those things that's kind of fun to answer. But basically, they're continually pumping it full of liquid oxygen. And liquid oxygen is very, 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 very cold. Florida is not very, very, very cold. Like, we're talking minus a couple hundred degrees Fahrenheit.
Until about T-minus 2 minutes. At T-minus 7 minutes, we had an engine chill, which is when we flush those engine compartments of the Merlin 9 engines with cold liquid oxygen to get them to their operating temperature. The next few minutes here, as we get closer, here are the next things that are going to happen. First of all, that strong back transporter erector to the left of the rocket is going to retract slightly and then fully recline as the rocket leaves the pad so it can clear. The rocket is currently also pressurizing with helium. A good part of the rocket's strength comes from the pressure inside the tanks, and we use helium to create that pressure. At about T-minus 60 seconds, the rocket's internal flight computer is going to take over. You'll hear a call out on the launch net saying Falcon 9 is in startup. So let's recap. The payload is sounds like the teams are saying the payload is good to go, range is good, and weather is crystal clear. Let's listen in to the last few minutes of the countdown.
Okay, cool. I'll have the countdown kind of in the background. It's kind of fun to hear the call outs. But yeah, so basically, as the oxygen warms up, because their ambient temperature outside is warmer than the liquid oxygen, which, as Lisa Stojanovsky says, minus 182 degrees centigrade. As it warms up, it turns back into a gas, and then that gas expands, I think, 1,000 times its size. And so instead of expanding 1,000 times the size in an enclosed container and blowing up that container, then rather than doing that, it's obviously much better to vent it off. So that's what you're seeing, is you're seeing venting out oxygen, and as it interacts with the atmosphere, it ends up condensing and turning into these little clouds of smoke that we see. Hey, thank you very much, Christian. Christian. Is the BFR going to be operated by airliners? Most likely, my best guess is it'd be operated by SpaceX. I can see them wanting kind of a monopoly on that, but I can't say for sure. Great question. Hopefully we learn more in the future. All right. We are T-minus 1 minute.
AFTS is ready for launch.
You're right, it's not smoke, it is vapor.
T-minus 45 seconds, probably go for launch.
I still get so excited every time. The launch is only about 8 minutes long. The first stage fires for about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Oh, good. And then
30 seconds.
The second stage fires for around 6 minutes or so. I'm not exactly sure. So it's relatively short. The drone ship landing is within 10 minutes. Maybe it's more like, I don't know, 12 minutes total, but it's not very long. So here we go, guys.
Minus 15, stand by for terminal count.
You see it's no longer venting
9,
oxygen.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Mission and liftoff. It still gets me excited. Beautiful day. Oh, come on, baby. Let's do this, guys.
Stage 1 prop looks good.
Coming up already, for those of us in Imperial, it's a mile up in altitude already. It's crazy. Looks like they got the new guy on the camera this time. That's okay. We'll forgive him.
Telemetry nominal.
You're watching the Falcon 9 rocket as it ascends through
Shoulder
the
camera from Grandpa.
EchoStar 105 SES-11 payload to geostationary
There we go.
transfer orbit after a successful liftoff from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Vehicle supersonic.
Come on, baby. We just want a successful mission.
The rocket is going to be passing through the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure that is called max Q.
And it's very important that these reflights are just as successful as a brand new booster, because this is proving the business model of reusing a rocket. So These ones make me extra nervous, but also extra optimistic and extra happy and excited.
Those 9 Merlin engines currently thrusting
yeah, this is
produce the thrust
awesome.
of 5 747s at full thrust. That's how much power the Falcon 9 is producing right now.
And back engine shell started.
Okay, everything's looking good. We're coming up on, they'll be doing a MECO main engine cutoff here relatively soon in about
30 seconds, those 9 Merlin engines are going to shut off in an event called MECO, which stands for main engine cutoff. Once MECO happens, there'll be 2 other very quick succession stages happening after that. The first is going to be the stage separation, where the first stage separates from the second stage and comes back towards the drone ship. And then after that, second engine start 1, which is when the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage ignites to carry the payload the rest of the way to orbit. Stand by for MECO very soon.
Come on. MECO. Let's get a clean separation now.
We have MECO.
Stage separation.
Yes! Okay, that's a big one. That's always a big one. And they lit the second stage engine.
And back ignition.
You can see
hear the applause from Mission Control. It looks like that we had a successful MECO, main engine cutoff, successful stage separation, and a successful start of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage.
on the left.
Just joining us on the left-hand side, you can see the first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket currently expanding its grid fins, getting ready for its ascent or descent back down through the atmosphere. And on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the engine nozzle of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage.
Interesting. Perhaps they did this on the last launch, but I noticed that it's only showing stage 1 telemetry right now. So we're actually going to see the first stage as it slows down, as it increases in altitude. And then it'll actually kind of speed back up as it falls down towards the Earth. Oh, there we go.
And you just saw a successful deployment of the fairing.
Fairing separation was successful. They are aluminum grid
while
fins.
in the dense region of the atmosphere to protect it from aerodynamic loads. Now that we're out of the atmosphere, we can jettison it.
Acquisition of signal Bermuda.
To answer that question,
Gas thrusters on the left-hand side of your screen, those help orient the first stage of the rocket so that it's pointed in the right direction as it comes back down through the atmosphere.
to answer that question, this first stage is landing about 700 or 800 kilometers downrange on the drone ship. On this, of course, I Still Love You, the autonomous spaceport drone ship for the East Coast.
So that first stage is currently pretty high up in the atmosphere. It's still, the gas of the atmosphere is still very thin up there. So as it approaches the much thicker parts of the atmosphere lower down, it's going to execute an entry burn in about a minute and a half. This entry burn is going to slow the rocket down so that as it hits the thicker parts of the atmosphere, it doesn't experience any excessive heating from compression.
So I'm going to answer a question here. These are aluminum grid fins again. They said it in the webcast. You can tell by the shape. Titanium grid fins have these cool curves in the lattices. They also have like kind of bear trap teeth, and they're not painted white. They are raw titanium, so they are very dark in color.
Did most of its fuel to get the second stage up to orbit. That first stage, therefore, because it's so light, doesn't really need that much thrust to slow down. Those Falcon 9, the Merlin engines actually operate at full thrust regardless of how much fuel is in the rocket. So the entry burn is only about a minute long.
I have a question.
20 seconds long. Entry burn is only about 20 seconds long.
Okay, I have a question in my Discord channel from Nico asking, they didn't replace the grid fins. Any idea why? They most likely for CRS-10 with a return to launch site, a low Earth orbit mission, the grid fins don't get that punished. It's these high energy geostationary transfer orbits that they really get punished on, the grid fins. And so most likely with the last mission, they needed little to no refurbishment, maybe just some fresh paint, and they were good to go.
We should be seeing the entry burn of that Falcon 9 first stage on the left-hand side of your screen in just about 10 seconds.
Stage 1 AFTS has saved.
The second stage actually stays up in orbit on these geostationary transfer orbits.
And there's
Here's
that
re-entry burn.
beginning.
Stage 1 entry burn is started.
They use 3 of the 9 Merlin engines for these re-entry burns. It's dark because now they were launching almost at sunset in Florida, and they flew east, so into
Still getting good telemetry from
sunset.
the second stage as it continues to climb, carrying that EchoStar 105 SES-11 payload to its intended geostationary.
Oh, that looks
transfer
violent.
orbit. We had a good entry burn.
Look at that
and
grid
first
fin
stage is still on
glowing.
track to touch down on the deck of Of Course I Still Love You in the Atlantic Ocean.
Uh-oh.
Drone ship AOS.
Uh-oh. I hope they didn't... They might have lost that stage, guys. I'm not saying that they did, but the telemetry's gone. They lost the downlink.
So we don't currently have signal from that first stage, but it is scheduled to start its landing burn in just about
Stage
30
1 is
seconds.
transonic.
Apparently they
Currently,
know
the
it's...
second stage, as you can see on your screen
transonic.
right now, is still burning happily. We have good telemetry from the second stage. Still on course for a geostationary transfer orbit.
They did have acquisition of signal.
Stage 1 landing burn is started.
So they still have telemetry on it. So it's still alive. Unless they're just making callouts that aren't there.
Stage 2 AFTS has saved.
Here we
This is video
go.
from the drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You.
Light pad deployed.
I can't tell.
And a brief
Oh, yeah.
video there, but as you can see, Falcon 9 rocket is currently standing on the deck of Course I Still Love You.
Goosebumps every time. Every single time. Yes. Experimental video link.
Yet another successful landing of the Falcon 9.
Seemed to be a little bit more
18th
reliable.
Successful landing of the Falcon 9 rocket. We also had a confirmation of a good second engine cutoff. This is currently right now, the second stage of the rocket is in a coast period. This coast period is going to last about 20 minutes, but we're not going anywhere. We're just going to give you a quick animation showing exactly where the second stage of the payload is over the surface of the Earth. But we'll be back in just about 20 minutes to guide you through the rest of the second stage burn and payload deploy. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, and this is why we're here, guys. This is the main reason I started doing these live streams, is to answer your questions now while they throw up this. I figured this would be a good time for us to be able to talk and answer questions. I haven't seen a signal cutout like that in a long time, and that being at a night landing like that, holy crap, my heart was racing. I am so excited. That was a roller coaster. It was crazy to see all the plasma throwing off that thing. It was nuts. The craziest thing is that the grid fins were clearly glowing hot. I can't believe they didn't put titaniums on this, titanium grid fins. This would have been one of those missions that I would have foreseen that they would have used titanium, because the titanium ones can take a beating a lot better. But wow, that was awesome. They came in super spicy. I love it. Oh, that was great. That was awesome. So who's got some questions? We got 20 minutes to answer some questions for you guys. Real quick, I guess, while I have you guys here before we answer questions, I do want to give a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are literally putting food in my stomach. You're helping me get things like a Blackmagic Micro Four Thirds studio camera, 4K. You also are helping me make my decorations look better. Every dime that I get, I bring right back into this show. And other content that I produce, other informational content. So thank you so much to my Patreons and those people that are in the Discord channel. The $10 a month people have access to our Discord channel, where they help me stream, come up with all of our scripting and everything for upcoming videos. So thank you guys so much for my Patreon supporters, and thank you guys for tuning in And for those of you that are subscribed, if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe now and check out the content that we produce here. And by we, I guess I mean me and my Patreon. So thank you guys so much. What is my background? So let me real quick answer non-fictional Yeti. This is a good question because I want to make sure that people that don't know how far it flew. The first stage of a vehicle, traditionally, you can actually see, this is a perfect map right here. The first stage only went that little tiny jaunt, 700 to 800 kilometers off the coast of Florida. That's it. And then the second stage is actually already in orbit, and it's in a parking orbit, and then they'll continue once they get the right inclination and line up with exactly where they need to go. They will do their geostationary transfer orbit burn, which will put the satellite into about 22,000 miles. Is it? I don't remember. 27,000 kilometers, something. I don't remember. Someone can double check what the altitude of geostationary transfer orbit. But this second stage. Now, I just heard this the other day. I don't know if this is true, but somebody said that all of these second stages for geostationary transfer orbits are still up in orbit. I don't know if that's accurate because they do a deorbit burn on most missions, or maybe those are just the low Earth orbit missions. But it would actually surprise me if every one of those second stages continue to stay up in geostationary transfer orbit like that. Because it'd be easy for them to lower the periapsis, the lowest point in that elliptical orbit. So here's the, let me make this big. You guys don't need, thought I did that earlier. So basically the orbit ends up being really low still right when the Falcon 9 releases the payload. The orbit of the Falcon 9 is very low at this point, but really high out at this point, like this. It's highly elliptical. That's what elliptical means, is very elongated. And it's easy once they're out here at this high point to slow down just a little bit, and it'll end up bringing them back into the atmosphere for a re-entry. So I am curious whether or not they actually stay up there. Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure. It would take very little fuel to lower the periapsis, the lowest point, in order to make it burn up. So things in GTO decay pretty fast. I don't know if that's true because they're actually parked up pretty high, higher than low Earth orbit. So if you wonder whether they don't do a deorbit burn just at the lowest point has enough atmosphere to slow a deorbit. That's kind of what I'm wondering too. So the next stop, so in a few seconds, in 15 minutes, once they're on the opposite side of the Earth and lined up with exactly where they need to go, they burn one more time. They will actually be burning prograde, which means the direction of travel. So they are going to burn speeding up. And what that does is as you speed up, the opposite end of your orbit, so say you're in orbit around the equator, which they aren't. This is not an equatorial orbit. But say you are around the orbit, the equator for orbit, and say again that your lowest point is about where this is over here. If you speed up right here in the direction of travel, your orbit that is here will actually start to rise on the opposite side of your orbit. That's how orbital mechanics work. Same goes if you actually slow down over here, it'll lower your orbit and you'll end up intersecting the Earth and coming in for a landing. Whether or not that's a good thing depends on your mission profile. So yeah, all orbits are elliptical. A circle is a degenerative ellipse. That's very true. Very true. I do think that I should be probably doing some Kerbal Space Program, and maybe we'll get to that someday where we like redo the missions in Kerbal Space Program during this time. But I also, when I play Kerbal, I have a really hard time answering your guys' your questions. So yeah, absolutely Kerbal Space Program for the win. If you don't know what Kerbal Space Program is, if you see the words KSP in the live stream or anywhere else, that means Kerbal Space Program, which is a great game. It's available like on the Steam store. It's an awesome game / kind of simulation of rocket science. You could build your own rockets and practice getting them into orbit and practice sending them to the moon or the moon, M-U-N, and there's another moon in the system. There's other planets, kind of like there's Mars type planets like Duna. It's an awesome way to learn about orbital mechanics. It's honestly how I've learned so much. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of KSP players in the house, including Marcus' house. Yeah, when's my next KSP live stream from Toby? You know, I think once I need to finish this other video we're working on about the BFR being an Earth-to-Earth transportation system and the feasibility of that. Once I finish scripting and shooting and editing that, then I think I'll get back into we need to finish up the BFR live stream I've been working on. We built a BFR in Kerbal Space Program, and we are working on, so far we've built, flown, launched, landed the first and second stage of the BFR. Now, I did one live stream of them doing a butt-to-butt docking maneuver, which is cool because that's what they'll be doing. And yeah, that's pretty exciting. So the next mission we'll do, I'll get a cleaner version of them doing a butt-to-butt docking with more margin, and then I'll cut that up and put it online. Hopefully sometime next week I'll be working on that, so stay tuned. And also, thank you so much, Say Skanda. Thank you. That is very nice. I will also do this as well. And haha. Thank you. What is BFR? BFR is their next generation, SpaceX's next generation rocket. It is going to be huge. And by huge, I mean huge. I have a video about it. Maybe bookmark it or add it to your, to be played list. Open up a new tab or whatever, but it's called SpaceX's Crazy New Plans to Send for Mars, the Moon, and Anywhere on Earth. It's an overview and kind of an evaluation of SpaceX's BFR rocket, the big Falcon rocket. It's huge. It has 31 all-new methane-powered engines, which are crazy powerful. It stands almost as tall as a Saturn V moon rocket, but yet it's very, very wide all the way up to the top. It's crazy. So why does SpaceX not have a launch site on the equator? Wouldn't it make the most sense? It comes down to, a lot of it is the cost. So there is a launch pad on the equator, or darn near the equator, in the French Guiana, and that's where the European Space Agency launches a lot of their stuff from, especially the Ariane 5 rocket launches down there, and it's almost exactly on the equator. And yes, you do gain a little bit of extra rotational velocity. So say you're right here, and the Earth is spinning like this. Obviously, this point around the equator is spinning faster than this point up here. I mean, this is an extreme example. And relatively speaking, if you're going into an easternly orbit, if you launch from the North Pole, you would get 0 extra velocity. But obviously down here, you would get a decent amount of velocity, up to almost 1,000 meters per second. No, 500 meters per second, I think, 1,000 miles an hour. Somewhere around there, someone correct me, I'm probably wrong. You gain that in velocity. But the thing is, believe it or not, from here to here isn't that much. It's only maybe like 200 meters per second, which it's cheaper for them to be able to ship the Falcon 9 via the interstate, which is how they currently ship the Falcon 9. It ends up literally just being pulled by a semi-truck. It was designed within it's 3.75 meters wide for an exact purpose. I believe that's how wide it is. Someone double check. And that's within inches of the margin for an oversized load to be able to ship across the United States. So therefore, it's very, 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 very cheap for them to be able to get the Falcon 9 cross country. And therefore, it's cheaper to make the rocket like a little bit bigger and more powerful for those 200 meters per second of delta V than it would be to ship that all the way down to the equator. So there we go. Could it land with some of the engines if some of the engines failed or broke? Yes and no. If that center engine fails, they will not be able to land the Falcon 9. They have no backup plans for that. And only 3 of the Falcon 9 main engines are capable of a relight. They have this TTEB system, a system that's using hypergolics, which they spark when they reach each other, and then they can reignite the engines in flight. They only have 3 of those canisters, and they're aligned with 3 different engines on the Falcon 9. And it's really important, so say 3 of those non-engines, like say some of the outer engines failed, it'd be no big deal. They'd still have the 3 to land, but they're committed to those same 3 engines every landing when they re-enter. They don't have contingencies for those. So if the center engine fails, the landing fails. And Philip James, thank you. Do I think other companies like Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic will follow SpaceX with a suborbital transportation system? Are they planning on it now? Great question, Philip. Virgin Galactic, actually, they've been planning for a long time to do suborbital space flights transportation system. They've wanted to do that for a very long time. But to be honest, I love Virgin Galactic. I love every space company. If they're building and flying and they have hardware, which I've seen Spaceship 2 and I've seen White Knight 2 in person. They're awesome vehicles, guys. It's easy to rag on them for being relatively slow, or what we think of as slow, and not fulfilling their immediate promises, but they are working very hard, and it is rocket science, and they do have a very complicated vehicle, actually. It may have been easier to do more of a traditional route like what Blue Origin's doing with their new Shepard vehicle, but the Virgin Galactic Spaceship 2 is very well in development, and hopefully we start seeing that thing fly very frequently soon. But yeah, I really, really hope that other companies do start taking suborbital spaceflight point to point on Earth seriously. There are some laws they have to overcome. You can't currently launch a ballistic rocket from one country to another. ITAR and not ITAR, but like nuclear arms treaty, because it'd be pretty easy to just be like, oh, that's just we got people on that thing, and the next thing you know, you're nuking somebody. It's not good. Two good questions that I see. Is Mars 1 a fraud? I have to say Mars 1, I am very disappointed in what happened with Mars 1. They misled the public so much. It was a great concept, but you can't overpromise. You can't say you're going to be launching astronauts to Mars in 2018 or I think they even said like 2016 at some point. They just really misled a lot of people. And then other people get what Mars 1 was touting and all the publicity Mars 1 got. People get confused with SpaceX. People get confused with Mars Base Camp and with NASA's plans. And they just think, well, see, it was all a fraud. And no, it's just one company kind of suckering everybody. Yeah, that's what I had to say about Mars 1. Boo for misleading people. Yeah. And someone else asked my thoughts on Blue Origins. I've said this before. You'll probably hear it almost every live stream. Hooray! Blue Origins is awesome. They are, in case you have any doubts about Blue Origin being awesome, just take a little trip down to Kennedy Space Center. Go about 4 miles south of the Visitor Center on that curvy road. I don't remember what it's called. Maybe even only like 2 miles. And see the entire massive building that they are building out there. It is huge. They are very serious. We should be looking forward to what they're doing because they are doing some very cool things as well. Their new Glenn launch vehicle will be awesome. I'm a huge space fan, so I have to say, yay Blue Origin, absolutely, of course, yay SpaceX, yay Virgin Galactic, yay ULA, yay NASA. I mean, it's all for the greater good. All ships rise with the tide. I think that's important. Oh, 14 soccer fan for life, 14. Hello and thank you. Have I ever been to Kennedy Space Center? And if not, I would like to personally invite you for a day of my choice. First time tuning in, thank you, Soccer for Life. I have been there many times. I live in Iowa, which is about a 22-hour drive down to Kennedy Space Center. I've shot many rocket launches for spaceflightnow.com. So I try to make 2 or 3 launches per year when I go down there, which is awesome. I also recently did like a shoot around the campus. For those of you unfamiliar, I started on Instagram. If you haven't been to my Instagram, Everyday Astronaut, that's kind of where this all started, as I gallivanted around in a spacesuit making kind of whimsical images of me in this spacesuit. Looks like their animation's having some issues. But yeah, I have been to Kennedy Space Center many times. Thank you so much for your offer. Maybe next time I'm down there, I'll do a meetup. And you guys can come say hi. We can all grab a beverage together, a beverage of your guys' choice. Hi there, New Zealand. Thanks for tuning in. Elon, so here's people are asking. We see some debate talking about the Falcon Heavy, and I want to put this out there. Yes, that vehicle is more dangerous and inherently more dangerous than a Falcon 9, but they aren't just gonna. If they think it's 50-50, there's no chance they're going to launch it at 50% success. You know, when they say there's a chance of it blowing up, they're probably still thinking statistically something like 95% chance of success with this thing. Maybe not 95% chance of mission success, but they aren't going to risk their multi-million-dollar launch pad and having to stand down for months and all the revenue of launching every 2 weeks. They aren't going to risk it if they think the Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy will not succeed. That being said, they're going to be very cautious, which is one of the reasons why it's taken so long for it to actually see the light of day. They have to do a lot of testing because this will be the first time, although they've fired all 27 engines in their cores, and even originally on test stands, they fire each engine on a test stand individually. Then they mount them onto the core and they test fire all 9 together on the core. And then there's 3 cores. They've test fired all 3 cores. It will be the first time they will ignite 27 Merlin engines. And they recently came to the conclusion that they can't launch or light all 27 of them simultaneously. They will need to actually stagger them a little bit. And it might be fractions of a second. We might not even be able to see it. I'm sure we'll see some cool high-speed film of that.
Falcon 9 rocket carrying EchoStar 105 SES-11 as it passes over the equator just over the west coast of Africa. We are coming up on our second light of the second stage engine. This is called SES-2 in just about 40 seconds. This second stage engine second burn is going to bring our velocity up from about 7.4 kilometers per second to 9.5 kilometers per second. This second burn is only going to last about 1 minute, coming up in about 15 seconds.
I wonder if we'll have a video feed of it. We may not. This may be kind of boring. Oh, there we go.
You're looking at live video feed from the second stage of the rocket. Stand by for second stage engine light.
Awesome. Thank you.
And there it is, a successful relight of that second stage engine. Currently, that Merlin vacuum engine is putting out 210,000 pounds of thrust, which adds a lot of impulse to a mostly empty second stage tank. We're getting great telemetry from the burn. Turbine is healthy. Engine chamber pressure is good. And the engine output power is also good. SpaceX has ground stations around the world. We are currently receiving good telemetry from the rocket, but video data doesn't always come down as smoothly as expected. So currently we're watching an animation.
It's looking good. We'll have second stage cut off here in just a second.
And it looks like a good burn. We're having telemetry looks good. Orbit is looking good from that second stage after that second stage engine burn. So right now, the next step in this mission is to deploy the EchoStar 105 SES-11 payload. However, that doesn't happen for about 8 or 9 minutes from now. So we're going to go back to the animation and watch the second stage and payload circle the Earth. We will be back in about 8 minutes to guide you through the deployment of the payload.
Awesome. First off, again, thank you so much, 14 Soccer for Life 14. That's very, very, very generous. You used to live in Bettendorf. That's awesome. That's very close to me. Very cool that you work in marketing at the visitor complex. I know a couple people out there. We're working on. We're going to try to get we're working with you guys actually with Delaware North to do a Yuri's Night out at Kennedy Space Center for the first time. Can you believe? For those of you unfamiliar with Yuri's Night, it's a giant global party celebrating the first human in space, Yuri Gagarin's first space flight, and everyone celebrates it, which is very cool. You can throw your own Yuri's Night party. There's also like officially sanctioned ones, but all they ask is that you tell people that you're doing it so other people can join and celebrate together. It's a really cool thing because it's people celebrating a human achievement. And believe it or not, even though Kennedy Space Center is kind of the capital of space, they have not had a Yuri's Night party at Kennedy Space Center. So thank you very much, 14 Soccer for Life. That is very generous. Thank you. I will, you go ahead and message me via email or somewhere and I'll talk to you. That's great. Hey, hi, Neil Johnson. Guys, everyone, Neil Johnson in the chat room here. He is half trolling right now, but he helps me shoot a lot of my stuff randomly. I'll call him up. He lives very close. Great videographer, great photographer. But Neil, I need some help. And he'll be camera op for some of the shoots. So everyone say hi to Neil Johnson. He always asks, is space real? He's not an idiot. That's his MO. So, yeah. Thanks, Neil. I think the Black Magic looks pretty fantastic as well. I'm pretty happy with it. It's a lot tighter. 28 millimeters equiv feels pretty tight. But and overall, I'm happy with it. We can at least we can swap out those lenses, so I'll eventually get a wide angle, so we can finish building that stupid Saturn V. Yeah. So hi everybody. Hey, real quick, guys. I'm gonna take a real quick miniature bathroom break. Stick around for just a couple seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and play an ad quick. I'll be right back. Stay tuned. We'll watch for that deployment, and then we'll answer some more questions. I'll be right back. I think we all dreamt about going to space when we were kids. But when the space shuttle program ended in 2011, I discovered a void in my life. That emptiness led to a newfound obsession with space. A few years later, I wound up bidding on a Russian spacesuit as a joke. When the box arrived at my doorstep, my friends asked, "What are you gonna do with a spacesuit?" The answer? What can't I do with a spacesuit? That's how Everyday Astronaut was born. Since then, the suit hasn't left my side. It's even gone around the world with me. From remote villages in Myanmar, rockets and spaceships, to beautiful fields in Norway. I'm fighting a cow to get a picture right now.
Here I am on vacation in the beautiful Norway with my beautiful boyfriend.
I even proposed to my wife in the suit at Machu Picchu in Peru. These days I work with leaders in the space industry to create fun and inspirational content. I've even been invited to different NASA facilities across the country, all for the sake of sharing my excitement with the world.
Hey there, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but NASA is doing some incredible things. This is church for us space nerds.
This is where Gene Kranz was sitting when people first went on. This is with permission. I still don't know how. I love that I'm standing on something that says urine bags.
This thing's gonna fly like a cat in heat. Whatever that means. That dog's gonna have a sore throat by the end of the day, I'll tell you that. Especially once he tries to explain to his friends that he just saw an astronaut flying majestically through the sky for an hour.
This thing has officially become the bane of my existence.
Everyday Astronaut's mission is to bring space down to Earth for everyday people, to communicate science through humor and imagination, but most importantly, to spark your curiosity, to want to find your place in the cosmos. Join my adventures as I seek to find out why exploring space is important, inspiring, and quite frankly, really, really neat. Show your support by visiting patreon.com/everydayastronaut. And we're back, and we're still waiting for Stage 2 to coast up, and they will eventually deploy their payload of the SES-11/EchoStar 105 payload. So, what questions do you guys have? I am happy to answer some new questions. Of course, there's always a little bit of a delay here, so I'm just going to do this until I get a cool and important and maybe hopefully respectful question. Let's see here. Am I using the Blackmagic Television Studio HD as my switcher? No, I am just using OBS. And then I have just an SDI connection to a Blackmagic mini studio recorder or whatever it's called. So it all happens pretty well. Any news on SLC-40 readiness? This is a great question for those of you that don't know. SLC-40 is Space Launch Complex 40. Notice it has the S in front of it for Space Launch Complex as opposed to Launch Complex. This means that it is at the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, which is literally like basically touches Kennedy Space Center. They're basically the same thing, but there is a line between the two. And that pad blew up September 1st last year. And it has not been used since. We're going to listen to this though.
Payload, the EchoStar 105 SES-11 payload, its final kick getting towards geostationary transfer orbit. Coming up in just about 40 seconds is the final stage of the Falcon 9's mission today, which is deployment of that satellite. Currently, the EchoStar 105 SES-11 satellite, which you can see on your screen right there, is attached to the Falcon 9's second stage via a payload adapter fitting, which includes some bolts and springs. When we give the command in about 20 seconds, those bolts will release and the springs will give the satellite a gentle push from the nest so it can begin its journey the rest of the way towards geostationary transfer orbit. So stand by for payload deploy in about 10 to 20 seconds.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, here, I'm going to pull this up big.
On your screen, you can see that satellite now.
SpaceX does not use pyrotechnics. They use a spring and some clamps. That way it's testable.
And there it is. you can see the EchoStar 105 SES-11 satellite successfully deployed from the top of the Falcon 9 second stage, gliding away into space. So with that, we are going to bring this webcast to a close. We'd like to thank our customer, both EchoStar and SES, for supporting this launch today. Also, a big thank you to the U.S. Air Force Range and the FAA for supporting us today for this launch. And we'd also like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. If you'd like to be part of the mission here at SpaceX, please check out spacex.com/careers and look to our social media pages and website for information on future launches.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, John. Okay, well, their live stream's done, but I will continue to jab on for a little bit. Whoa, geez. Thank you, Christian. I don't know if you meant to do two. Hopefully you can. Thank you so much. I'm very frazzled. The other day you met an Indian woman that was maybe 26 to 30 years old that had the title astronaut. How is that possible? Man, I wish I was better answering this. She could be in the Corps. That's a great question. I don't know, actually. Hopefully somebody else can help me answer this question, because this is a really good question. I don't know what the minimum age is. I suppose you could probably be, pretty young and be able to do that. Maybe she was 30 years old, and that's a great question. Maybe was she a NASA astronaut? Was she wearing NASA garb and all that? But yeah, let me know. I would love to help answer more questions about that. That's very interesting. And 14 Soccer for Life, dude. Thank you. Have you heard about holidays in space? This year will be amazing. Also, have you checked out your new concept rover? No and no. I'm excited to hear from you. Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. That's very kind. Thank you guys so much. That's wildly unnecessary, but thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, guys. Does the payload circularize its orbit by itself? Yes. It has a built-in propulsion that will eventually circularize, and it takes like a month or maybe for sure several weeks. Pretty freaking awesome. The next launch, let me check here. The next one on the schedule, by the way, this evening, 11 o'clock my time, Gwyneth Shotwell will be talking at Stanford, which is pretty cool. Is that right? No, sorry, 9 o'clock my time. She'll be speaking at Stanford. The next launch on the calendars that I see is not until October 30th. That's a while, guys. What are we gonna do? No. Will SpaceX do asteroid mining? Sure, if they have a customer that has an asteroid mining device. SpaceX is more of a launch provider. They are kind of like the FedEx truck of space, along with other launch providers. So it's most likely that they will end up having a company that uses them as a launch service to get them out to an asteroid. Then that company will work on mining the asteroid. So, well, thank you, Soccer for Life. Thank you very much. That's amazing. Gwen, am I checking launch library? No, Lisa. Let me know if there's one that's sooner. Yeah. What do I think about Bigelow Aerospace and their plans for space tourism? Yeah, I am very, very excited for them. They have these big things called, I believe they're called BA-200s. They're massive, giant, what do they call them? They're huge, hopefully eventually space hotels, which is exactly Bigelow's founder. I forget his name. He is a hotel entrepreneur, so he is literally working and has been working for decades on space hotels, basically. And he bought a patent from NASA, or borrowed or shared or something, a patent from NASA that is inflatable HAB modules. Bigelow currently has, and SpaceX launched it, Bigelow currently has a small expandable module currently docked and tied into the International Space Station. It's been up there for over a year. Very successful, so that's looking good for Bigelow. I'm really excited for them to launch. It sounds like they have plans to launch actually with an Atlas V, mostly because of the payload fairing is bigger, wider in diameter than a Falcon 9. Otherwise, their original plans showed Dragons, not original, but recent plans showed Dragon capsules docked with that capsule or with their space station. So I know that they've been friendly with SpaceX, but I think they went with Atlas V just because of the payload fairing diameter. Thank you so much to Onezimo Galileo and also Nicola. Thank you guys so much. Again, these are entirely unnecessary, but thank you. There is an atlas. Oh, sorry, I was speaking when someone was asking when the next launch is. I was, I guess, specifically speaking of SpaceX. I currently only do these live streams for SpaceX because this is more of my expertise. I'm most familiar with SpaceX. I can speak very easily about SpaceX. And although I'm fairly well versed in ULA and their launch vehicles, I'm just not as comfortable talking very candidly about them as I am about SpaceX. Maybe someday we'll get, if there's enough demand and if you guys want me to, I'll consider covering other launches. But yeah, actually, to be honest, some of those other launches might be a little bit more exciting more exciting for me to cover because some of those other launches from other providers can honestly be very boring. So maybe an added element of being able to ask questions and converse in conversation might be very welcome. Thank you, David Plant. Thank you. That means a lot. I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback, and I really appreciate the tip. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, can I cover Rocket Labs launches? Eventually, absolutely. I'm very excited for Rocket Labs. Yeah. Eventually, once they start live streaming, yeah. Do we have any spacecraft that can survive Earth reentry from beyond the moon? Orion is designed for exactly that. The Orion space capsule is capable of an even hotter reentry and a more aggressive reentry than that of the Apollo spacecraft. Also, SpaceX's hopefully will be able to do that with their Pika X heat shield. So I believe both of those things are capable of re-entering from like a Mars trajectory, which, yeah, but I don't know for sure about the Pika X thing, but I know that SpaceX will be lining the bottom of the underside of the BFR with that ablative heat shield. So, Philip James, do I think SpaceX is developing tools, machines, and habitats for their colonists on Mars? Surely their plans can't be just for the rocket. Yes, Philip, absolutely. The question, honestly, it might not be up to SpaceX to develop the tools and a lot of the HAB stuff. That might be where a strong partnership comes in. Again, we need to continually think of SpaceX as a launch provider and not as an agency. You know, I get asked the question all the time, SpaceX versus NASA, and those two things are not necessarily a versus. Yes, there's some things that overlap, a little bit of a Venn diagram where the two intersect, but they are not the same thing. NASA is an agency, and one of the cool things about NASA is that they do things that are not profitable, like purely exploration, and purely scientific endeavors, as SpaceX is in the business of making money. They are a profitable thing, which is obviously, there's not a right or wrong answer here. I'm just separating the two. SpaceX is very good at bringing down the launch costs. They are a private, very aggressive company, and I think I see them still as a launch provider to Mars. And I think there's going to be companies that are very excited to work with them to develop 3D printers for Mars and habitats and ISRUs, which is an in situ resource utilization to be able to refine. I bet SpaceX will buy that from somebody else or work with another partner in that sense. They might even say, here, ESA, we need you guys to develop the ISRU. NASA, we need you to train the astronauts and run the mission. It'll be a collaborative effort. That's my personal thought, purely speculation, but I just don't think SpaceX, they don't do things as people are always like, yeah, SpaceX does everything. They do so much stuff along with NASA's help, along with government agencies. So really, it will be a collaborative effort, just like everything, NASA has fostered SpaceX to be able to be the success that they are. They've provided many things. So, yeah, so that's my rant about that. Thank you, Poke. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Let's see. Could it also be that the hydraulics on the booster might not be able to handle the extra weight of titanium fins? Good question, Brian. I almost said no immediately, and then I thought about it, and there is a chance that the older core had different hydraulic mechanical, because the titanium fins do pop out much slower. They don't pop out as quickly as the aluminum grid fins. There is a chance that the machinery inside there, the actual, they might be different. Good question. Very good question. I don't actually have the answer to it. So, the Moxie. Google it. ISRU, courtesy of NASA, exactly. And in our Discord channel, do I think SpaceX is pushing NASA to develop Mars tech faster? I don't know if it's one pushing the other, or if it's really, there is a movement happening, guys, and it's our generation. I guess when I say our generation, not necessarily my generation, I'm 32. There's a lot of people all around different ages, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds that are excited, that wanted them to go to Mars for a long time. There's us, there's people much younger than me that are all, we want to go explore again. We were stuck in low Earth orbit for 30 years with the space shuttle. We didn't do anything beyond that. And I think as a collective humanity, we are all ready to go explore. And I think we're all pushing each other. I think SpaceX bringing the cost down of certain things and being very ambitious with propulsive landing and doing things like that excites NASA, excites the general public, excites Congress. Remember, NASA is pretty beholden to Congress. They get their budget, which is still much less than most people think, at like 0.5%, which is very small compared to the 4% that it was during the Apollo era, maybe even up to 5% at the peak. NASA can do some incredible things when their budget's big enough, but also there's going to be this whole movement coming, and as the general public gets more and more excited about exploring, we all explore together. And that's one of the things that I have to say, one of my favorite things about space is that it brings us together. It seems really weird that, we leave the Earth and that brings us together, but it is humanity leaving and coming together. So as soon as you get off the Earth, you look back and you realize, hey, we're all on this together. We're all on this little tiny rock out here floating around in space. And all of us, there's no religion, there's no borders, there's no wars, there's nothing when you look down at Earth like that. We're all on it together. We're all neighbors. We're all living in the same little house, and we're fighting. And I think that's the beautiful thing about space exploration, is as we get on and move on and explore together, it brings us together as people. And I think that's just absolutely fantastic. I don't want to even talk about it anymore because I may get a little bit teary-eyed. That is my thing. So people are asking, what is going on? I would have to say this is the end we're wrapping up here. SpaceX just had a launch about almost exactly 1 hour ago they started. And we're about to be doing, I'm about to wrap up here and head out. Sorry, I don't mean to say like there's no religion. It's just that you don't observe a religion from looking down. You don't get to divide those lines of, oh, there's Buddhism there, and there's these people over here. They're the Christians. It doesn't matter. We're all on the planet together. That's what I meant by no religion. And I'm not saying that no religion will make it into space or anything like that, because I think many people observe religiosity on different platforms. But what I'm saying is that just like just because you're getting off the Earth doesn't mean that there's no race, as I said, but you realize that it really doesn't matter what race you are, what religion you are, what country you're from. All that is absolutely irrelevant as soon as you leave the Earth together. That's what I meant. So I'm confused why there's many, many, many questions with BFR will never happen. I don't believe that. BFR will happen. That is SpaceX's big master plan. That is their big step. They're investing a lot of money and resources already into development of the BFR rocket. It's not paperware. They've worked on tanks. They've worked on the carbon composite tanks. And they've also worked very hard on the methane engines, which that's a huge step for actually having a Mars vehicle as a methane-powered engine, because it's very easy to refine methane and make it out of the atmosphere and also the ice on Mars. So yeah. Many people said landing stage 1 would never happen exactly from Real Muggsy. He's exactly right. That's now here we are. They landed their 14th first stage in a row, and they're all perfect. It's just incredible. I have somebody asking me, Skills Studio, can I come to his classroom? Absolutely. I do public speaking. Go to everydayastronaut.com. You'll see a public speaking tab there. You can fill out that information. You can talk to your schools, anyone else out there. If you want me to come speak at your school, if you want me to come speak at, I do events. Like I was at New Space this year. I was at Yuri's Night in LA this year. I spoke at SpaceX in February. I'll be speaking down in Sarasota, Florida in like a month. That's another aspect of my career as a science communicator. So if you want me to come speak, visit everydayastronaut.com and you'll find the public speaking tab. Fill it out. Send me a little email. There you go. Let's see. The landing legs Griffins. So, do I play Kerbal Space Program from Clorox Bleach? Yes. Take a quick little look through my channel when you're done, and you'll see lots of Kerbal. And I do live stream occasionally. So, yeah. Are there any upcoming launches that will fly a booster a third time? So, Wim, this is pure speculation for me, but I don't think we're going to see a third reflight out of this generation of Falcon 9 booster. Most likely. The reason I say that is we're currently still seeing Block 3 and some Block 4 Falcon 9s, and they just really aren't meant for multiple reuses. Elon said that Block 5, they hope to have 10 flights out of it before they have to do any major refurbishment. But this current block, I think they're just mostly trying to prove that they can use them and reuse them. They aren't really meant to be reflown as much as the Block 5 will be reflown. So I think right now they're still just kind of in the proving stages of proving the concept, making sure it works out. And once that's over, and once Block 5 is flying, then I think we'll see cores flying over and over and over again. But they're being slow and cautious with it. There's no reason to launch another core a third time when they have a handful of them hanging around. And also I think they need to start reusing the cores that they've already flown once. Those definitely need to be on the expendable missions. So, yeah, there we go. Yes, Corey, we have had a very exciting past 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago Saturday, I remember celebrating that I broke 20,000 subs. And since then, we are almost doubled that in 3 weeks, which is very exciting. So thank you to all you people and for spreading the word. I don't know if you were aware, on Monday, I had YouTube actually featured me on their trending page as a upcoming creator. So that was a creator on the rise, which was a huge honor. Got me another like 5,000 subs. Yeah, big thank you to YouTube for helping out. Real Muggsy. Well, thank you so much. I honestly am just so insanely excited about the future of exploration. And it has now officially become my career is to help other people understand why they should be excited. Bringing space down to earth for everyday people. You may hear me say that often. It's my tagline. And that's the thing is I try to tap into why I'm so excited and why you should care. Maybe not necessarily you guys. I think most of you people get it. But, people that are very apathetic. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on, and I'm here to help just champion that and get everyone else excited. So thank you, Real Muggsy. That really means a lot. What kind of college degree did I get? Unfortunately, I have a 2-year degree in nothing. And that is not the recommended route. That was a very hard, I had to do a lot of things the self-taught way. Self-taught photography. I had to build a business in photography, doing a lot of work for free for a while, and until I had a business developed that I could actually be self-sustained on. And then I have now pivoted into this. And I have no idea. To be honest, if this will work out as a career. We're working on it though, right? I have a lot of exciting things coming up that I can't really quite yet talk about, but I think it'll work out. And the growth has been insanely encouraging. And you guys being here to talk and hang out really, 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 really means a lot to me. It's really scary to quit and say no to a lucrative job. As a professional photographer, I said no to weddings this year. I shot 2. I've shot almost 150 weddings for, all around the world in like Ethiopia and in Europe and all over the United States. And it was a lucrative career, and I actually enjoyed it. I actually really did enjoy it, but it wasn't what I was passionate about. This has become my absolute obsession, is spaceflight. And I said the same thing about photography, is to pursue your passion. And I went from a hobby to an obsession to a profession with spaceflight, or in photography. And that's exactly what's happening with me in spaceflight. Started off as a hobby, grew to an absolute obsession, and now I'm trying to foster that into a profession. So I want to just thank you guys again for helping me make that possible by supporting it and saying hi and showing up for these live streams and telling your friends. Are there any reused launchers cheaper for the client? So there are no. Or are the reused, sorry, I read, are there other? The reused launchers are slightly, and I think by best estimates, I think I've heard about 10% cheaper for the customer. SpaceX wants to recoup their R&D into landing and reusing boosters first before they totally offer that and bring that right back down onto the customer. But eventually, the customer should see 30 to 50% discount by using a reused booster. That might take a couple years, but still, that is huge considering SpaceX is already about the cheapest launch provider. If they can bring it down by another 50%, that is massive. He said previously at some point 10 times. I don't know if this system has the possibility of bringing down the flight cost 10 times, but eventually when they do go fully reusable with a fully reusable upper stage, fully reusable first stage, yes, then we will see the cost come down by at least 10 times. I have seen this come up a couple times. I don't know what Havoc is. Otherwise, I would gladly talk about Havoc. I have no idea. Do you have any tips for getting started into photography? You can find my work, start off by going to Instagram, at Everyday Astronaut. You can also go to everydayastronaut.com and see my photography there. But my actual photography, real name and real photography, like my spaceflight stuff, is Tim Dodd Photography. So check that out if you'd like. So make a stream flying to Duna. Absolutely. Ben J asks, I will absolutely be doing that with the BFR I built in Kerbal Space Program. We're eventually going to be sending it to the moon and then off to Duna eventually. Those will be different live streams. We'll do it kind of in segments, so stay tuned. Somebody asked if I'm a member of the Planetary Society. Absolutely. I've been supporting them for several years now. I've worked alongside them for different things. I did a shoot for them this year sometime, I don't remember when. I love Planetary Society. If you guys aren't members of the Planetary Society, Bill Nye is the CEO or president, I believe CEO currently, of the Planetary Society. They're a nonprofit, and they go out there and they make stuff happen. They get people excited about space. They do a lot of the legal end and what's that called? When you go around and you like make people do stuff with the law. Lobbying. That was a legitimate 100% brain fart. Yeah, they do some lobbying stuff and a lot of correspondence. So Planetary Society is awesome. Check them out. And thank you, HHN2002. Thank you for the tip. That's very much appreciated. So let's see. So I see a lot of that. We don't need this to be spammed. So yeah. So there we go. I think I'll look into this Havoc thing at some point. Bill. But I am going to wrap it up so I can make it to dinner. I think that's one of those important things in life, is putting food inside your mouth and then digesting it and putting it in your tummy so that you can continue to live. I don't know. Strange thought, right? But again, I want to say one more time a huge and sincere thank you to all my Patreon supporters. If you want to help contribute, go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. It's a monthly. You can pay as little as $1 a month. It really helps me continue to do what I'm doing. A lot of the programming for this, but mostly the videos that I work on, the YouTube videos, take a lot of time. Most of the time I quote 40 to 50 hours is what it's taken previously. I did shoot one out there in 15 hours just last week, but that was an all-night bender, and we had all the facts in front of us. A lot of what we do is research and shooting and all that stuff. So thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you want to help make this stuff possible, patreon.com/everydayastronaut. $10 a month, you can join our Discord channel where you can help us script and do even more, make these videos even better. And I like to think that the quality of the videos, not only content, but especially audio and video-wise, has increased dramatically. So that's all thanks to you Patreon supporters. I couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much. That's going to do it for me, guys. Come here for the next SpaceX launch. Tell your friends if they want to ask a question, if they're getting into space flight and they have a lot of beginner questions, have them stop by. Hopefully we can help explain some of those things and make it easier for everyday people to get excited. So that's going to do it for me, guys. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. I think we all dreamt about going to space when we were kids. But when the space shuttle program ended in 2011, I discovered a void in my life. That emptiness led to a newfound obsession with space. A few years later, I wound up bidding on a Russian spacesuit as a joke. When the box arrived at my doorstep, my friends asked, "What are you gonna do with a spacesuit?" The answer? What can't I do with a spacesuit? That's how Everyday Astronaut was born. Since then, the suit hasn't left my side. It's even gone around the world with me. From remote villages in Myanmar,
Rockets and spaceships.
to beautiful fields in Norway.
Fighting a cow to get a picture right now.
Here I am on vacation in the beautiful Norway with my beautiful boyfriend.
I even proposed to my wife in the suit at Machu Picchu in Peru. These days I work with leaders in the space industry to create fun and inspirational content. I've even been invited to different NASA facilities across the country, all for the sake of sharing my excitement with the world.
Hey there, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but NASA is doing some incredible. This is church for us space nerds.
This is where Gene Kranz was sitting when people first went up. This is with permission. I still don't know how. I love that I'm standing on something that says urine bags. This thing's gonna fly like a cat and eat. Whatever that means. That dog's gonna have a sore throat by the end of the day, I'll tell you that. Especially once he tries to explain to his friends that he just saw an astronaut flying majestically through the sky for an hour. This thing has officially become the bane of my existence.
Everyday Astronaut's mission is to bring space down to Earth for everyday people, to communicate science through humor and imagination, but most importantly, to spark your curiosity, to want to find your place in the cosmos. Join my adventures as I seek to find out why exploring space is important, inspiring, and quite frankly, really, really neat. Show your support by visiting patreon.com/everydayastronaut.